Welcome to our third episode. Rusty McGivney, Sean Dennis. We've given you all the other details in the past. He's the brains, I'm the instigator, I'm just an opinion guy. It's his job to surprise me with a topic each time we sit down. Swear to you, don't know anything about what's coming at me right now. So you'll get my instant, genuine reaction. Uh, well, Russ, what'd you get done this week? What do we got to talk about today?
Well, a little something near and dear to your heart.
May I have something near and dear to my heart?
Yes. You are a big animal advocate.
I am.
Um,
Used to be a hunter, and I'm reformed.
well,
Got soft in my old age after my baby sister died.
no, I got you. But there still does need to be control of the wildlife population so that
Sure.
they don't get out of control and
Depends on
and
what
get.
you identify as wildlife.
Well, true.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody's going to go hunting dogs and cats.
Okay.
Well, some do. We won't go to those.
Let's avoid
that's
that for
that's
now.
part of what we'll talk
subject
about.
we got today?
Well,
Give the people something.
in February, there was a listing of 40 dogs were turned into the Knox County Animal Shelter.
You have to be very careful on this subject. I cannot go to dog shelters, and I cannot be made to feel guilty.
Well,
because if I went to a dog shelter, I'd come home with all the old dogs.
I know. Right now you're down to the lowest amount that I've
ever had, and that's a lot because of my medical struggles right now. I hadn't wanted to take on, but yeah, you're right. I've had 2 or 3, mostly 3 at a time,
and varying different sizes, from itty bitties to ginormous things.
Yeah.
So, well, then talk about what dogs have done for you.
We'll get to is about dogs.
Well, animals in particular. But I just want to get your take. This is your point of view. You've told me that dogs have saved your life.
Tyson, I would be dead right now before my bulldog Tyson. There's just no question about it.
Okay.
I don't know. I thought something today, and it was just weird that this came up because I was driving today and following a guy with a dog licking his ear like she does mine all the time. We'll drive down the road. I thought to myself, would I want my daughter to marry a man who doesn't have a dog? I don't think so. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
there's a certain element of, especially men, who have a dog. I just think they're probably a better breed of husband for your daughter if you've got one. I just think that dogs make people better.
Okay.
I don't know. I challenge you to give me a description how a dog has made a man or a family's life worse. Just don't. You don't hear about a lot of those.
Sadly, that is part of what has happened with the Knox County Shelter. There's a lot of dogs that were turned in.
God, don't turn your. I don't want to see this.
You're not seeing
turn
anything.
Your laptop a little bit. I don't want to be seeing something that I get.
Well,
there's no
animal.
I am going to admit that this is a topic that I am a softie on.
Well,
it's
fine.
Very difficult for me.
Well, that's why it is kind of an important topic too, because this time of year there are people who 35 dogs were left at the shelter last month. 13 were adopted already, so that's good. 17 were returned to their owners. 2 were transferred out, and I'm sorry to tell you, 3 were euthanized.
Why? I thought there was a no-kill out here. Is it not?
It describes it as they were ones that had
no-kill shelter or not?
I don't believe so, because it has always had.
I mean, they put them down if they're medically in a position.
And that was through the story that there were issues with them and resulting in the reason to euthanize them. So It does happen
The
depending
last
age. Or,
time I went to a shelter, I had 3 dogs die within 3 months of each other. And it was
ones that you've gotten there.
Just dogs. My dog, I had Vicious, my little Yorkie. I had Hank, my black wired-haired mutt, and I had Tyson. Those 3 for a long time, and lost them all. Well, I lost 4 within 7 months because I inherited Gary, which was one of my twins' dogs. He couldn't have when they moved into an apartment. So Gary passed away, and then I lost the other 3. So the silence was killing me. So my wife got online. We went to the Licking County shelter because it had a couple bulldogs, which was I was leaning toward trying to. I mean, I wanted to replace what I meant so much to me for so many years.
Right.
You know? We got there. I said to them, do you have any bulldogs? And they said, yeah, we had 2 of them, and they're both gone. They go very fast. So from the time we identified a bulldog to go look at, and we physically got there, the bulldogs were gone. So I said, well, just take me to your 2 oldest dogs that have been here the longest. Take me to your,
the wing that nobody goes to.
Yeah, take me to the dogs nobody wants.
The Isle of Misfit Toys.
Take me to your worst misfit. So that one laying over there on the bed was there for almost a year and a half. She'd been there for over a year. And they had named her Whisper because the entire time she'd been there, she never made a sound. A bark, a growl, a whine, nothing.
Wow.
So when I got her, I didn't, it gave away the story. I ended up taking her, but no one could get to her because in Licking County, they've got 8-foot kennels. You go in this door, you walk down, okay, and I would walk down here, go up to her kennel, and she'd walk 8 feet over to the other side. So I get down to that hallway, get down, she'd walk back over here. So, of course, I've never been one to have a lot of respect for a lot of rules. So you're not supposed to interact with the dogs unless they get them out and you take them outside. And they couldn't even get her pinned down long enough to get anything on her. I said, just give me a few minutes. They walked out and I just went in the kennel. I just got in the kennel and walked in, sat down in her piss-filled kennel that was sitting there. So I'm sitting in piss with little beet treats, trying to get her to come to me. And it took me 45 minutes or so, just getting a little bit closer to her, until I had her trapped at the other end. And I finally laid it down on the ground, and she went and got it and took it over and laid it down. She wouldn't even eat it still. She just standing there looking at it. Long story short, she eventually warmed up to me, come over, laid down in my lap, and that was it. I was done at that point. She was gone. But we told him, and she was young. She had been beaten and left for dead. She just had a litter. They wouldn't tell me the owner's name. I told them I just wanted to send the guy a thank you card. All I wanted to do. And I begged the little girl, but she did her job. She wouldn't tell me who the guy was. But he's the one that called to come get the dog because she had a litter and he was done with her. And every time she'd come back for her babies, he'd beat the hell out of her again and drive her 10 miles, drop her off, she'd find her way back. So she was out, according to Licking County, what they knew, from the time this guy started calling until the time they got her, she was out from mid-November until February outside. And they caught her early February. Wow. So she lived outside during winter in Licking rural county. She was pretty rough. Didn't know what I was getting into, to be honest. But before we get to what happened with her when we got her home, I said, okay, I got one. I got to have another. I said, I'm not going home with just one. So I said, take me to the one that nobody else wants. First went to her, and then they went to Kid, which was a boxer mix. Okay. and he was starting degenerative spine stuff where he couldn't control his back legs a lot. So I ended up getting him, bringing him home, bought him one of those wheel things that you strap him into. I've got videos of him out playing, running around, like a youngster again. He was all gray. And we had him for a couple of years, almost a couple of years, before the spinal disease took over where he couldn't control his bowel movements or peeing or anything like that. And you'd walk over, he'd just be laying there in a pile of shit. So it got to the point where we couldn't manage him anymore. But we lost him. And then at that point, I was struggling with so many health issues. I didn't feel like it was smart for the family to add another responsibility when I was not able to do a lot myself. Now, I've kind of gotten out of some of that now to where I'm a little bit more stable and every day think about wanting to get another dog, but I just put it off until I get into my new place. But one quick story about her, and then I'll get back to your topic. We brought her home. My wife didn't understand why she'd get up in our bed. Well, first off, she would stay as far away from us as we could. I'd have to get her, pick her up, go lay her in the bed and lay her there. And then the minute we'd walk away, go in the other room or something, she'd get up and start turning in circles as fast as she could in that bed, almost running, just going like crazy. Okay. And then she'd stop, squat and piss, and then lay down in it. And my vet explained to me that there's you guys know better, tell me, but he explained to me that in the history of dogs, I mean, dogs were bred to be companions. I mean, they didn't start out that way. You know what I mean? They were outside dogs. So he said that what she was doing, she'd get under a pine tree or something and go like crazy in circles to warm up the ground in the middle of winter, and then piss to create the heat, and then lay down on it real quick so they could get warm enough to sleep a little bit during the winter. So she didn't realize that she didn't have to warm up the bed and piss in it before she laid down. So my wife was a saint for about 2 weeks until she said, "This has got to stop." She goes, "I can't make the bed new every single day." So I got a little more aggressive with her and trained her out of it so she didn't do it anymore. And while she's not Tyson, she's probably, and because she's the only dog I've got at the time as well, she's probably the closest dog I've ever had. I mean, she goes everywhere with me almost 24/7. About the only time we're not together is when I'm in the hospital or something. So she is linked to me. I mean, my wife and I went out and stayed overnight somewhere the other night and left her with my daughter. And I got home. It was ridiculous. I mean, I went in and laid down in bed, and she always comes up and lays down right beside me. She literally crawled up and laid on my chest and just laid there. Put her head right, nose right over there. I'd try to talk to her. I'd try to pet her. She wouldn't move. My daughter saw her. She just would not get up off of me. I mean, it took almost all day for me getting up and down all day the next day to convince her I'm not leaving. Calm down. So yeah, I'm a softie. People probably have opinions of me that soft is not a word that comes to mind when you think about me, and I understand that. I'm sure my kids wouldn't describe me that way either. But when it comes to animals, you're right. You picked a topic that, as you can tell, start me talking and I'll go on. But yeah. So what's your angle here?
Well, now we go to the somewhat dark side of things.
Oh, great.
The abuse, and unfortunately, we do have a lot of things going on in and around Knox County that I'm sure you heard about the guy with, oh boy, 70 comes to mind, but I don't think it was that many horses that were just emaciated and
God, I love horses too.
and it just
They've got
in horrible shape. They had
great. Anybody who owns horses knows they have personalities just like a dog.
hmm
They're smart. They got personalities. They'll come to your call. I mean, horses are probably be my next
Now, how
one
did
in
you
line.
have any? I don't recall you.
I grew up with a horse. I had a paint when I was a little kid, and my
Really?
Uncle Gary and Aunt Chris,
Okay.
okay,
All right.
that were on my dad's side of the family. It was my biological father's brother and sister-in-law, and my aunt and uncle. And Spook was his name.
Okay.
And my mom raised me alone. She'd take me out to Aunt Chris's a lot for me to get fed and taken care of while mom was working 2 jobs or sometimes 3. And some of the kids would get in trouble picking on me, and Brian flipped one of the boats over on top of me, and I was under a boat for like about 2 hours before Aunt Chris was yelling at me to come eat, and couldn't find me, and eventually found me under the boat. I couldn't flip off of me.
How old were you?
I don't know, 6 or 7, something like 5 or 6. I don't know, somewhere around in there. Probably, yeah, probably in there. Anyway, they would Brian and Aunt Chris tell Brian, go take Sean out and go play with him or something. So Brian would go get Spook, saddle him up, put me on the saddle, and hit Spook's ass, and Spook would take off. And they had a trail, and they'd run that trail all the way around. Usually take about, I don't know, 5-10 minutes for me to get all the way around the land and all the way back up to the house. And then the Spook would come back up to Brian and give him an apple and smack his ass again, and off I'd go. And the story with that I'd tell is there was one time I loved that. One of my connections to speed from the very beginning was riding Spook. I mean, I just loved that speed, just that, down, going as fast as I could go. And we were going on the trail, and he'd come around the trail where it turned, and it stormed the night before, and a tree had fell across the trail. There wasn't any time for stopping, and he went right up over it.
Wow.
Jumped over it, and when he hit, I went down, and I ended up like this.
Oh, on the side of the saddle?
Holding on to the stirrups and my feet up, trying to keep from falling and getting run over. And that's how Spook walked me back up to the front of the house. I was hanging on the bottom underneath there. But yeah, I mean, I love horses. I've got a great connection to horses. I know your dad had a tack shop. I mean, you guys had to have experiences with horses.
We boarded horses for many years, and
well, Uncle Abe, you know my Uncle Abe Adams. He boarded horses, shoed horses forever and ever. Amen. If he wasn't dead, I'd already have Hazel out there riding the horse out there. But they're all gone now. Yeah, I've got a connection. And this new place I'm getting, building, I've talked to my wife maybe about having a couple horses.
Oh, okay.
So
$12 a bale.
Trust me, they're very expensive. I get it. They require a lot of attention, but and you can't have one.
That's probably,
you can't have one horse.
Well, yeah, I guess.
You can't.
Well, no, honestly, the thing to get? One horse and one donkey.
Yeah, I like donkeys. I'm a favorite donkeys.
The horses.
Donkeys are character.
Yes. Oh,
remind me of you.
God. Well, that's true.
It's very true.
Well, we had.
If a donkey could speak, it'd be you.
No, well, thank you. I long ears, yes.
Stubborn ass.
Definitely that. We had many of them growing up.
Donkeys?
Living next to Camp Syker, when they would start, singing over in the tabernacle during camp, the donkeys would start braying at that time, and they just thought it was a riot. So they would come over and bring carrots and apples over from the cafeteria and feed the donkeys.
Well, if I get carried away, horse, donkey, there's only one other that you have a clue? Now, remember Uncle Abe. Can you think of one other animal that I grew close to? He had a couple.
Mules?
Goats.
Oh, goats. Okay.
I mean, he had one lived in the house.
Oh.
Went in and out the patio door on his own.
Ah.
A goat.
Well.
It was an indoor damn goat.
And
And,
there's a lot of pygmy.
listen, my kids love those goats.
Who was it?
Dalton to this day.
Well, pygmy goats are just
Yeah,
something
no,
new. I
know,
mean,
yeah.
those things.
Yeah, I've never had or been around one of those, but
I could see you with one of those
yeah,
here.
maybe
That-
so. I mean,
Instead of another dog, a
yeah.
pygmy goat
And
and a potbelly
old
pig.
has-beens. I mean, I guess I don't know what your angle is on this from what we're trying to communicate with everybody. We're not trying to communicate with people our age. I think probably people our age or older probably can relate to what we're saying better.
Mhm.
However, I think dogs have went up as companions dramatically with the new generations. I think, if I'm right, you're the brains guy because of COVID. Wasn't there a lot of people that
And
went out and got a bunch of dogs and
yes,
created that environment?
there was a bunch of stupid money spent on dogs during COVID. Well, animals in particular. So not just dogs, cats,
Well,
ferrets.
I don't want to jump the subject, but before I forget, you say stupid money. I got news for you. I've been in and around the legal world for 40 years. Okay.
Mhm.
And I've never in my life ever experienced the way it's been the last 10 years, maybe. I can tell you right now, based on my real life experiences, that I think people, not everybody, we can't generalize everybody here.
All right.
We'll piss somebody off because I know there's an exclusion to every group, but I think most people spend more money and more time on their pets
Oh.
than they do their elderly parents or grandparents. They got a parent at a nursing home. I won't even start with grandparents because
Mhm.
that even a parent at a nursing home 3 miles from where they live, and they'll see their parent
Once a month.
maybe if they're good kids.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But they got their dogs fed and their dogs polished and their dogs groomed and
Mm-hmm.
their nails done. And
well,
I mean, these people spend more money. I had a lady leave money to her dog in her trust
yeah.
to be taken care of afterwards.
Well, I mean,
and she had a living husband.
I mean, how many pet places? I mean, we've got. Is there 2 or 3 places in Mount Vernon now?
2 now, but I mean,
and you go into them and the amount of stuff to think, I mean, back in when we grew up, you might have the chew toys and some biscuits and things.
now it's a whole industry.
It's a whole industry.
But forget about those stores. Get online. God,
Oh,
my
I
God.
know.
God forbid you buy one thing from Chewy ever.
Oh,
Because you're going to get bombarded with, I mean, and the kind of stuff that they make and create, the kind of money people spend.
Mhm.
I mean, the money they spend on their pets is crazy.
It is. It definitely is.
So that's kind of an interesting angle I'm kind of gathering is I don't know if I'm watching this TikTok. I just got on this thing called TikTok. I just got on this thing about.
Okay, we have a new communist in the
No,
midst.
I did it about 3 weeks ago when we started all this because I wanted to not be the idiot that doesn't know what people are talking about. Okay.
Well, you can find that out through other means than to give
I
the
don't
communists.
I don't think you can. I have nothing to hide. Listen, China, if you want my info, call me. I'll just give it to you. I don't give a shit. I mean, what are you going to do with my info? What are you going to do to me? You going to steal my identity? Cool, go for it. Couldn't be any worse. So I just could care less. So I'm better than me being a communist. That's a bullshit statement.
I know.
Well, they don't. But I've been on that. And I just do random. I don't pick categories. I just whatever they send me, that's what I've been viewing and trying to watch. And it's crazy because give away my age. My mom was born in 1946. I'm born in 1964. Okay. So we both are boomers.
Mm-hmm.
My mom and me. My mom was the first year. I was the last year.
Okay.
Okay. You see, that's odd that it went that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
The next year, 65 starts Gen X.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of Gen X people on here
Oh yeah.
pissed off at the world and their kids and the next generations,
Okay.
mocking, making fun of. I've been learning a lot.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm learning is that you watch some of these Gen X videos. There's one older lady on here is just so awesome. Listen to her because she goes on this rant about what it was like when we were kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like she went on a 10-minute rant about drinking out of a fucking hose, and her granddaughter was like, "Ew, what you? Oh, I'm on a bottled water."
Yeah,
Yeah,
which is worse.
drinking out of a hose. Oh my God, you know. And I've learned that I don't think people even know what riding a fucking horse is anymore. Does anybody? I
It's
mean, does anybody even go outside anymore?
very
Does
few.
anybody ever get in trouble for getting in a creek that it rained the night before and now it was all full of water and muddy, and you come back home like an otter full of mud and shit? And
I mean, I used to go down to Center Run
oh,
and get in. We'd play in there, and one of our big games was whoever came out with the most leeches on them was
well,
the winner.
if it rained real good, you could just jump on a tube and run that creek right down Center Run that has no water in it. Normally, you can. I rode Center Run down on a several times.
Mhm.
My mom thought I was dead once because she came home and the creek Center Run was up and she couldn't find me, and we lived in that little duplex right there on Center Run, right on the creek.
Okay,
And
east or north or south of
east,
north or south of Coshocton.
south.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to think. Is it Vine Street or Chestnut, where the bridge is right there, and there's a little duplex that's right on the
Okay.
west side of the creek.
Okay.
Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
I had a dog back then called Blackie,
Mm.
and I used to ride. She was huge, German. What were the dogs that had
The jowls.
No, they had the barrel.
Oh, Saint Bernard.
Saint Bernard.
Mm-hmm.
It was a Saint Bernard. So I used to ride him like a horse.
Oh boy.
Okay, so Mom and Gary, and she had everybody, both Uncle Gary, she had everybody down there. Mom bawling. They all thought I drowned and was dead in that creek that went down through there. Here I come riding up the backyard on Blackie. They're riding up on that St. Bernard coming up through there. And yeah, I remember Center Run. I remember all of that stuff. But you can't do that anymore. If that happened today, you probably get your kid taken away from you. Children's Services, the neighbor would call, and Children's Services would come get your kid or something.
Mm-hmm. I know.
I can tell you
child endangerment.
100 things I did
Mm-hmm.
that you couldn't get as a kid.
Right.
You couldn't get away with anymore as a parent.
Exactly.
So we've taken everybody from outdoors. Does anybody know what I brought up that a lot of people went and got COVID, dogs during COVID? Maybe that is helpful. But does anybody even know what riding a horse is like? Does anybody even know what taking care of a horse, what kind of responsibility that is? Does anybody even know anything about? Do you guys even go outside anymore? I'm curious.
I see a lot of kids outside, and I think they probably told Mom, I'm going to go outside and play, and then what I see them playing with is one of these, and they're just sitting there doing this.
But they're sitting outside doing it.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I wonder. I'm curious. I won't be around very much longer, but I'm curious how these,
mm-hmm.
and how this AI is going to change our world.
Oh,
are all the brick and mortars destined to shut down? Are people all destined to just live in a room and be Sylvester Stallone and have sex with the robot? Like, remember that movie?
I'm more worried at this point. I was worried about it being more like Terminator. Now I'm more worried about it being like the Matrix, because all anybody wants to do is hook up to the machine, and
Yeah, but I mean everything. The sex robots are right around the corner.
Oh,
I mean they literally exist already over in Asia. Okay,
Japan is the first one to invent them.
So how far are we from eliminating human interaction? Everybody wants to work from home. They don't even want to go to
I
work.
know.
I mean, I'm being serious. I mean, hit me in the comments, educate me. That's what I'm here for. I'll share my experiences with you and give you a chance to try to compare my happiness and joys in life to what yours are. None of mine were connected to this. None.
I know.
And I've got hundreds of fucking stories. I mean, I got stories that are fun, scary. Don't know how I'm still alive today. I've got lots and lots of stories. What are their stories going to be? Hey, I saw something on TikTok the other day. You should check it out.
Yeah.
What's their stories?
I know.
What is their life experiences
the
going to
child
be compared to ours?
The childhood that they're going to grow up in is, I mean, a sterile environment. Basically, it's not going out and exploring. That's why I say I feel we're closer to the Matrix than anything.
Yeah.
We're going to be, just a part of a machine.
What was the name of the movie? Was it Demolition Man? I don't know. The Matrix had the same. Matrix is more of a violent, confrontational. I mean, Demolition Man was kind of that way, but it also showed how life changed. It also showed where he came home and didn't have a wife, but he had this created creature that he'd make love with, have sex with, do whatever. It was a view of so realistic compared to what we're looking at right now. How in the hell did anybody know that back in the 80s that we'd be where we're at right now? Is that really where we're on the edge? I mean, is that really what we're on the edge of?
Greatly. I don't. The people who are inventing this stuff, I don't know why they want to continue on seeing what the near future, what that could, because once you, this is way far from the subject, but I guess we'll go with it for just a little bit.
I don't know how we got there.
But the AI issue is so defined because it can change everything in a matter of moments.
So could an EMP.
Exactly.
And if you don't know what an EMP is, kids, you need to hit the search bar up on the top, because if that ever happens, you all are going to become running to dad and grandma and grandpa. You're all going to become running to all of us old has-beens.
Make friends with the Amish.
Yeah, make friends with your family that's still alive.
Yes,
because
that aren't dependent on these things.
EMP eliminated it all.
Oh, exactly. I
got a warehouse full of cars that are all stuck because they ain't got any computer chips on them.
But they do have wires.
Computer chips aren't going to stop.
But they do have wires.
So what?
Well, you'd have to replace, because that's what it burns the wires even too.
Yeah, how many
so
wiring harnesses I've got down there.
That's fine.
I'm not wishing bad on our world, but I'm just telling you, if that happened, you'd have this fucking.
What I think I read.
Our point of view would be worth a ton.
Yes, if that happened within the first year, 80% of the population would be dead.
80? No.
80%.
There's too many of us left.
No,
still
it's not
to keep them from dying.
But the main thing of it is,
we're not going to let our kids die just because they don't know how to.
Listen, it's mostly the medications. You have all the people who are diabetics and everything
80%,
else.
But I hear you. But again, I wonder sometimes, and I'm on a bunch of medicine. I hate to admit it, okay, but I'm on the edge of that sword where I a lot of times wonder if I wouldn't be better off just to fucking stop taking all my medicine. I mean, before I knew I was a diabetic, I didn't take any medicine. I took none.
but you diabetes becomes worse.
Well, I had I remember the number sticks in my head, like 645 or something. I mean, I was like, should have been dead when it was when I had my accident on my Harley and I had the brain bleed. And so they did all this testing and shit, and they found out that I was diabetic and outrageous numbers, ridiculous. I don't know how I'm still walking around. I was riding a Harley down the road. What do you mean how I was still
Yeah,
walking
but you
around?
wrecked it. You think that
Yeah,
could
but
have been a
that had nothing
contribution?
to do with it. It had to do with the gravel that the state of Ohio left near a construction site that when I hit, I don't know, Evil Knievel could have. I mean, I just had to lay it down. There was nothing I could do.
Mm.
But the point I'm trying to make is that I wonder how much of these medicines result in, because my doctor tells me, well, that has a side effect that's going to increase your cholesterol. So I'm going to give you cholesterol, but even your cholesterol's fine.
I
We're
know.
going to give you one of those, and
Yep.
that one's going to have a side, and we'll give you a pill to protect you from that.
Yes.
I just wonder sometimes if we wouldn't all be a little better off. Not all, the majority of us would be a little better off without being on 30 pills a day.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there are
So I don't
holistic.
think 80% of our people would die. I think you're exaggerating. I don't know how you're seeing
There,
that.
well, there's it's
You mean because the hospitals would have no electricity? They'd have
there's
generators at the
yeah,
hospitals.
but the generators are still part of that framework.
And come on, with people like me and you, we'd have shit put back together and shit running.
That's fine. Yes, there would be some.
And off of natural gas or something where we could. It has its own pressurized. Yeah, we would. It wouldn't be long till we.
It'd be
had things back to where it was manageable. Well, I think 80%. I think 20% would die off pretty quick.
Oh, easily.
Yeah, 20%.
Again,
I agree with that.
But the big thing with it is the medications that we do not produce here in the United States.
Yeah, but we're changing that. We got a new president. I don't know if you noticed. Did you guys notice we got a new president?
I think I did read that.
He's now starting to build steel again now. Just how much was that yesterday? The new company's going into Louisiana for American steel again, okay?
He dig up Carnegie, did he? Or
it's in Louisiana, and it was $1 billion investment.
Wow.
Okay, so and he's already got medications. He's already got antibiotics being produced here in the United States again. He's already putting things back in place till we're not at the will of China when we need our money or we need our medications or we need things, cells, batteries, whatever that all that shit is.
Right.
He's creating a situation from my point of view to where he's America first and protecting us from that.
Right. I don't disagree. It's
okay. So
the old saying of you got to break a few eggs to make an omelet. So
I don't know what is it with 3 letters. OHB, old has-beens, point of view. Okay, we've got all these 3-letter abbreviations for
CIA,
things.
FBI.
I mean, everything's like I thought of something. I lost my
IRS.
Yeah, no. Yeah. How about the 80,000 people that is he moving those down to the border? Did that actually happen? Do you know?
You mean the IRS agents using them as a?
Yep. No. Biden hired like 80,000 new IRS agents, armed and all this bullshit. Okay.
Right.
Well, Trump was. I don't know if it went through, but he was proposing relocating them from the IRS, keeping their federal government jobs and their weapons, and just sending them to the border.
Well, that was the most curious thing was why did the IRS order all of these weapons? This is the IRS.
EMP. There's another 3-letter. EMP. Look it up, kids.
Yeah, electromagnetic pulse.
You
what?
Oh, you ruined everything.
That's the shoulder that he's got to have.
Oh.
You all right?
Yep.
Okay. So
I won't do that again today. See, that's memory.
And yours is poor. Is that why you did that?
No. Well, when you don't have memories to refer to, these next generations, I want to know when you can't go to your phone to find out an answer, when you can't go to a phone to fix your problem, when you can't. Hell, me and you are using our phone down there working on a race car. We do it too.
Right.
I'm not saying it's bad,
YouTube videos are.
But when you don't have that anymore, are these next generations, are the majority of them going to be able to function
Oh, that
without that? If it
most
was,
of them couldn't function now. If we
oh,
had, remember the, you gonna be all right?
yeah,
Okay.
I just heard it.
Uh-huh. You remember the power outage we had, what, in oh golly, '08 or so, where the brownout that started the rolling
Oh yeah,
thing that started here in Ohio went
yeah.
to New York and came back and everything was shut
And
down.
I'm not
We
sure.
were down a week.
I'm not sure the EMP is the only way we're going to have
Oh
problems.
no.
Our grids could be a major problem,
My God.
especially with all this AI shit and this
You
extra.
don't need that. If you had,
Oh,
if 50 cells were activated and you had 50 rogue uh, other countries people go out and find 50 different power substations and shot those transformers, it takes 2 years to get one of the big transformers from China, because that's where they're made. 2 years to get one of them.
yeah.
So think how screwed we'd be.
Well, that's what I'm trying to share with them. I don't know how we got dogs to this, but it is important.
We morph.
It is important for these next generations to listen to somebody like us. I mean, you know what I mean? If their grandparents or their parents haven't educated them like they should have, then there's a lot of people out there that don't know what the alternatives are or were. And when
It,
you're raising your kid, I think we're going the other direction. And I'd love to be part of that, to where we had an impact on some of these people. Some of these schools now are making you not let your kid come to school with a phone anymore. I mean, that's a new trend right now.
I haven't heard that one
What?
yet.
No,
But
there's several of them that just passed state laws. I think Virginia, that governor there in Virginia, I think he's one that just did it. Correct me if
wow.
I'm wrong. But I think we're going that direction. That's a good sign. Do you think that, how do you think, if something did happen, how do you think these generations underneath us would respond?
The sad part, and I've said this for 10 years or maybe more. I've said the you don't have to worry about cancer, you don't have to worry about diabetes, you don't have to worry about any. The largest health issue we are going to face is mental health.
Well,
And
that's created.
mm,
I mean, I understand it exists,
but
but
it's
that's not created. It exists. I said it wrong. That's taken advantage of. I
but the
think that's exploited, I think is the word. I think that it does exist out there, but I think, you
it's
know,
being allowed to happen, but it's parents not being what our parents were to us, and that was strict.
yeah,
You know,
discipline.
because you knew you had to grow up and you had to have responsibilities and be able to take care of yourself, because mom and dad's not going to be there to wipe your butt every time you poop. So now it's, I was at a I won't say where, but I was at an apartment complex, and someone came into the apartment manager and was checking on her. She looked to be about 22, 23 years old, checking to see if she got approval for her, companion pet, her PTSD companion pet. So, kids
Bella,
are
come here.
kids
Up,
are worried so much.
up.
There's Bella.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Hello, Bella. And so when you have kids that are, worried about having, pets because they have PTSD, we're in a bad state. So,
Yeah, let's don't get down this rabbit hole, because I get myself in a lot of trouble
well, I
on this,
understand you
because
you
I
you
got real live shit to talk about, And when you start talking to me about people living in government, housing, living off the government tit, and taking advantage of everything out there available, no matter whether it's realistically having a real impact them or not, or they just read on Mr. Google, this is something that I could take advantage of. I give me a free dog.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not saying everybody, but I got news for you.
Yeah.
You get to the military, I got news for you. There's a lot of legitimate situations there, and there's a lot of people who've been rescued by dogs
Mm-hmm.
when they come
Oh,
out. I mean, rescued their lives. I mean,
right.
literally. You know what I mean? I don't think anybody. I'm watching TikTok. I don't think either they've changed the definition of literally, or I don't think the generations beneath us understand what the word literally means.
Mm.
Because they literally say everything is literally all the time, even though it's not literally.
Yeah.
I literally died last night. No, you didn't literally die last night. Okay, so I don't know how I got there, but
that's all right.
These people are making some of this stuff up just to take advantage of opportunities, take advantage of the system, and once you get tied into that, it's pretty easy to do. So I think there's huge legitimacy to PTSD. And I think it's taken advantage of by some,
right,
not really understanding what that means any more than they understand what the definition of literally.
Right, but I guess I'm thinking that we'll go back to World War I, World War II. When people came home and they were disturbed, it was shell shock. You get into it was after Vietnam that people who had issues from Vietnam, the term PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, came into play. So there, like you said, there's legitimacy over things. But
yeah, and a reason to have those services to help that.
Exactly.
It's just it shouldn't be exploited.
But what I looked at as those people growing up in that era of things, depression, the 50s, 60s, it was, you had to have intestinal fortitude, is what I call. You had to have the stomach to be able to get through, what life threw at you. Whether it was a bully at school, whether it was a bad boss, whether it was a cheating, spouse.
Because they're going to get turned off listening to that speech about them or tell them. Because I'll be honest with you, the flip side of this, real quick, for you guys, is I've been doing a lot of doctoring. I've got 7 doctors right now, and I like my young doctors.
Oh, okay.
I got news for you. They're smart. They're fucking smart as a whip.
Okay.
And I think that it's not all. These new generations aren't all bad. I just worry about them surviving in a real life, real world experience.
Right.
With the technology and shit, I go to my daughter for help. I go to my kids for help with other stuff. My youngest boy's a lawyer. Just helped me get through a bunch of stuff for my medical issues. So they're brilliant. They're bright. They're smart. They're capable. But I just don't know if they're seasoned. I don't know if they're experienced.
Listen, that's what I started to say. I was 29 before I realized I was repeating the stuff that my dad tried to drill into my head. So
what do you mean?
Well, just all the stuff that he tried to teach me. I was 29.
You were 29 before you realized it.
No, I was 29 when I found myself saying it to somebody younger.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So I knew it started to click. Now, that was then. It may take another few years.
Well, you didn't have any kids.
No.
See, when you have kids, you find yourself being a dad and going, God, why didn't I listen to my mom?
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Right, right.
Because I mostly did. I didn't want to disappoint my mom.
Mm.
But you know, you don't listen to everything. You
Well,
don't pay attention to everything. And
and the kid always thinks they're smarter than their
yeah,
parents.
well, most of the time they are. Or
Uh,
no, smarter. Most of the time they are. There's a difference between
wisdom, I guess.
yeah, there's a huge difference. I'm agreeing. I'm admitting my kids are probably all smarter than me. Okay? But without technology, you take that away,
Oh, yeah.
okay? I wouldn't trade my experiences and my wisdom for their intelligence
Mm,
without technology.
right, right.
You see what I'm saying? So
Exactly.
maybe we're worried about nothing. Maybe it'll never become an issue. Maybe they'll never have to learn how to, you know, survive without technology.
Mm.
But I really, you never answered the question. I still really have doubts that without technology, and it doesn't have to be an EMP, it could be a grid going down somewhere and taking out somebody for a week, a month, a year, who knows. But I really have doubts that they would survive successfully without some old has-beens
Right.
going, "Hey, Dad, how do you do this? I
Mm,
can't look at Google anymore. Will you tell
mm-hmm.
me what to do?"
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Uh,
Exactly.
and maybe they don't need to know how to
I'm
pull
not.
an engine and put a new engine in. Maybe they don't need to know how to do that until they do.
I'm not sure where that question was, but I
Well,
have. You said I haven't
I
answered the
said, I
question.
asked you, do you think these kids, the majority of these generations below us,
Well, I think I've
would,
already
no, you didn't. You
answered
went
that.
into a long winded dissertation. Yes or no?
No,
Do you
I
think the majority of them would be all right?
not because of the generations that it's been where parents really haven't gotten involved with their kids.
So,
So I'm saying no.
okay. So,
I
but
sadly
based on the real reason that it's not the kids' fault, it's the
uh,
parents for not
uh,
being parents like we had parents.
if you ask basically almost any 18-year-old boy, say, how do you check the oil in your car? They probably don't even know how to
Oh, come on.
pop. I know
Come on.
of of
See,
one that
I'm
doesn't
sheltered because
even know how
all
to.
my kids know how to
I
do.
understand,
But so
but
it's
they're in
hard
their
for me
30.
to
I'm
believe.
saying an 18-year-old kid right now wouldn't know how to even pop the hood.
How many out of 10?
3.
Seriously. That's bizarre for me to wrap my
I
brain
would
around.
think so, yes, but I would say 3 out of 10 wouldn't
So
know
can
how to
we
pop the hood.
conclude from all this everybody should get more dogs?
Yeah. Well, now actually, you want to go there real quick. Um,
Well, that's the topic where I'm trying to get back to.
having a dog has responsibility. So if you have a younger person, I mean, how many kids growing up, uh, have a dog and mom and dad say, okay, make sure you feed the dog, make sure the dog's got water, make sure you take the dog out for a walk or go to the bathroom, and how many times they have to repeat that
Or
to
feed
get
the
them to
horse,
do it. Yes.
or
Oh well, just
get,
do
chores.
chores at all. So, but I did want to conclude, and I need to get to work. So, um, we do have 2 just wonderful, upstanding citizens that Knox County that have been arrested for a 5th-degree felony. Um,
Oh,
well,
you're
I'll
gonna
leave.
go. You're still gonna go to the dark area on me.
Well, one's a Brinkhaven and one's a Danville. So but they have the same last name. So I'm going to assume they're
Are these dog
related.
abusers?
Well, it says cruelty to a companion animal. Now that makes it even worse because you know companion animals are somebody just like Bella here that
Not
is supposed to
necessarily
help.
service dogs, but I don't
Yeah,
know what companion animal is defined as. But I
right.
think they're trying to make it. It's a domesticated. Would you say that's kind of what they're getting at? A house pet? by
Yeah,
labeling
I
it as
suppose
that?
you could probably do that. Yeah. Um,
Not
but
farm animals, but
26 and 27 years old. So, it's, I guess, basically with what we had with the shelter, go out, there's shelters, each county has a shelter. So, if you're inclined, if the main thing is, just like he said, when he doesn't want to go to a shelter because he'll walk away with
I won't
half
come
a
home
dozen.
alone.
Yeah. So don't go unless you have the commitment and the means. I mean, you've got food, you've got vet bills, you've got grooming if the type of dog it is. Make sure you have the means to be able to take care of that animal as well too. They're going to do the yeoman's work of taking care of
Yeah,
you.
yeah. Listen, that's what I was hoping you'd say is you need to take care of them because they're going to take better care of you than you can ever take care of them if you're a incredible master. If you're one of the most giving pet owners, they're still the pets are still going to give us more than we're able to give them.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, just don't. Yeah, that's hard. Don't get them. Leave them in the shelter. But if you do
but
get them, please
yeah,
be serious
yeah,
about it and take good care
absolutely.
of them. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Um.
it's it's very important.
Yeah.
So
I
so
I I I don't. Is it part of it because eh, they rely on us?
oh well.
I mean, it's like our kids rely on us till they don't need us anymore.
Mhm.
That's a
But
painful
the
thing.
but the
Dogs never grow out of needing you.
exactly.
They never.
I
They
mean,
can never feed themselves. They can never buy their own cars, take care of their own
mhm,
insurance. They can't
mhm.
take care of
Yeah,
themselves.
they can't walk up to the
The
vet and say,
dogs
"Hey, I
will
need
need
my
you
shots."
their entire life.
Mhm.
So yeah, take it seriously. Yeah, I get
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So today was just like a little service.
Well, it I saw that article and I knew you're
Well, I'm glad we didn't focus on the dark side of that because
yeah.
I'm too
There's plenty, way too much out
I'm
there,
too
way too
old
much.
and broken to kick anybody's ass anymore. But I'll fucking beat them with my
Oh,
cane as hard as I can
I'm sure.
if I catch them abusing or abusing any kind of
Yeah.
pet or any
Give
kind of.
give the animal up if you can't take care of it. Give it up. There's no shame in being
Yeah, we
able
live
to
in a
do that.
technology age. There's no reason to drive it out in a field and leave it
All
now.
right.
Just
Right.
take a picture, put it on the internet. Somebody,
Oh yeah.
there's more bleeding hearts out there when it comes to
Yep.
pets than I think there are abusers.
And
So
also with the animals at the dog pound, there are also, as I looked, 22 cats available for adoption at the cat shelter.
yeah, just throw that
So,
in there.
well, I mean, it's either it's someone loving a cat or it's a play toy for a dog. Joking, joking. But no, I
Or
probably.
as the North Koreans would say, afternoon snack.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, I'm just
Hey,
saying.
now I will. Okay, this you won't like this.
I'm not in favor of
You
that.
won't like this, but my sister used to work for a lady that had gone to. She was a superintendent here locally, and she went to China and to meet a counterpart over there, and they showed them the schools and basically how disciplined all those students are. They this person was so excited to show her the special meal that they were going to have,
They
and
who? Their dog and them?
that this superintendent
We're
from
not
here.
following.
So I'm sorry. This superintendent went to China to meet with her counterpart in China to find out how the Chinese do in education. Is that following
A
enough?
counterpart. What's a counter? Colleague? What do you mean a
Count,
counterpart?
so counterpart, superintendent for, they don't call them superintendents in China.
Okay.
So her counterpart
Okay.
in China.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, got to
Yeah,
make
I'm not
that
smart enough to get it.
talk down to you that
yeah,
much.
talk down to me. I'm
So-
not very smart.
So anyhow, the point was this Chinese counterpart was excited and took them out to the smoker to show them what dinner was going to be. They'd been smoking this for 2
Are you
days.
going to discuss this now? Go ahead.
It was a dog.
Yeah, yes, yeah.
And so Chinese people, yes, they do eat dog.
So is Barack Obama.
I don't know about that, but
True story.
well,
Look, do your Mr. Google search.
okay, I'll look that up.
He admitted in his own book.
Okay.
He put it in his book that
Okay.
he wrote.
All right. Well, I really haven't. I know he did a spoken version of that. So
Yeah, I didn't read his book. I just know what people said about it.
okay. Well, hey, as I've said, I am 10 minutes past leaving for work. So
well, that sounds like his problem.
It
not
is my
ours,
problem. So you can continue on yourself, or
yeah, not today.
okay.
Yeah, not today.
But
Better subject next time. I like dogs. I love dogs. It's a good public service, but
you know,
but you didn't get much angst out of me today. I'm the instigator. You wanted a day, easy day or what?
You know, truthfully, what really brought out a little bit, so the listeners, readers, watchers can see just a little bit about us and how we grew up and what.
Well, that's the whole point of this whole thing.
Well, that's our point of view. So we were successful in sharing a little bit of insight of what's going on in Knox County and a little bit about us. Yeah. So
to end, I would summarize with treat your pets great. Mm-hmm. You're lucky.
Yep.
You don't realize how lucky you are, and you won't miss them until you don't have them anymore. Mm-hmm. A lot like your parents. Try to give your parents like half the time you give to your pets. Mm-hmm.
Take your pets to visit your parents.
Yeah, I mean,
they would love it.
Yeah, I mean, take care of family. Mm-hmm. Pets are family, but
exactly.
But don't forget about
each other. Take care of each other. Take care of your pets. And everything should be right with the world. Well, thank you again for tuning in to a rousing. No,
wasn't. What? Do you have any ideas? You're not allowed to
rousing.
Tell me. But let's get something a little more controversial next time. I mean, this is a bit of a love fest. I mean, everybody's going to. All
right. Well, every now and then you need one of those outside of just beating up on.
But I miss beating up on you. I look forward to this.
Well, that's fine. We'll get to beating up on you. Beat up on me before the program started.
I beat up on you once when you put all of us to sleep for about 3 minutes.
Oh, wah. So, thank you very, very much. Subscribe, and share.
Subscribe.
Share.
No,
share and comment.
Please tell us who's right and wrong. Come on. I guess there's not much. We're both on the same side of this.
Yep.
All right.
So, thank you again.
Thank you, guys. See you next week.
You got it.